This is Gary Attention with CNTV, and today we're in Maryland, introducing a man who has mastered the rare alchemy of art and anatomy, an international opera baritone and a Johns Hopkins faculty member who uses the science of the nervous system to help the world's highest level leaders really reclaim their most powerful instrument, their authentic voice. I am joined here with the really a man of many titles, Dr. Carl. Thanks so much for joining us here.
Thank you so much.
We've got to address one of your titles really, and that is I want to educate our viewers. What is a neurosomatic intelligence educator, and why the decision to become certified in this expertise?
Oh, that's such a great question. I am primarily a singer and a voice teacher. And so I'm working with people all the time that are trying to perform at their highest level. And sometimes I see that they are trying, I'm giving great instruction, they're trying their best, but there is some type of block in the way allowing them to actually respond to the information. And in the nervous system, we find that that is usually some type of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response that prevents fully accessing the cognitive response, which is in the frontal lobe. Instead, we get stuck in the amygdala. I didn't know that before I became a neurosomatic intelligence trainer. I just knew that I wanted to help more people and I needed to get more information in order to help them help themselves.
So it was a great fit for you because of what you're trying to help folks do already. So, I mean, kind of a neurology of authenticity. You often speak about the body as an instrument, for sure.
Yes.
For an executive who thinks of their voice merely as a tool for data delivery,
Mm.
how do you kind of explain the biological reality that a listener's nervous system can actually detect or maybe even reject a voice that isn't neurologically grounded?
Well, the first thing I do is I grieve. I grieve when people don't think about their voices as an important part and as part of the neurological system and part of the cognitive system as well. Within zero point 0.7 seconds, your listener is making an assessment about you. They're determining your age, they're determining your gender, they're determining your race, they're determining your socioeconomic status. It's one of those things that if you don't notice how your voice sounds, you're the only one. And as a speaker, we are in the exact wrong place to hear our voices. Our ears are behind our mouths where our voices go out. So a lot of what we hear is through the eustachian tubes, and it is a distortion of what our voice actually sounds like. Have you ever had the experience of listening to a recording of yourself speaking and been like, yikes, who is
Absolutely.
that? That's
Yep.
exactly that reason. So I like to help executives think about their voices and how they affect the listener. How can you change your pitch, your volume, and your rhythm to engage your listener and to communicate information more clearly and to make it more compelling?
Wow. I mean, you have really looked into this in a way that most people have never even thought about. This would be great for people in the media as well. I mean, because obviously they really have to be able to deliver that message. You're an
Absolutely.
international opera performer, but in 2018, you experienced a profound period of vocal silence due to an injury. I mean, for you, probably a total loss of identity. Looking back, did that forced silence kind of become the primary research lab for the maybe the methodology that you now use to help others find their voice?
You know, it's interesting that you say that because even before that injury, while I was doing my doctorate at the University of Miami, I was a part of a team that wrote a paper called Vocal Attrition of Teachers in Miami-Dade. So during my studies, I was very aware of how the speaking voice and voice use professionals, how the voice is an important part of what they do, but how it's underserved and sometimes under-resourced. But at the time, I thought of myself strictly as an opera singer, and I knew how to sing, I knew how to warm up, I knew how to fill a hall. So when I had my injury and I was forced to be silent, and then I went back to the voice specialist who told me, Carl, you know how to sing. This vocal injury wasn't from singing, this was from all of the speaking that you do. My mind was blown. I had done the research, I knew the effects, but because it hadn't affected me yet, I hadn't put the pieces together. So it was in that silence, in that time of self reflection, where I was able to put the pieces together and realize I think of myself as a voice professional when I'm singing on stage in French, in German, in Italian, in English. I didn't think of myself as a voice professional when I was speaking, when I was teaching, when I was presenting. And that's where the gap lied. And that's where I wanted to make a shift in myself. And I found it to be very, very helpful in thinking about the voice as a tool and as an instrument, even when I'm speaking. And that helped me to help other people reconnect with their voice.
Yeah, I mean, so the default answer wasn't thinking that it was because you were a speaker, but because you're a singer. I mean, we're all familiar with singers drinking hot lemon and that kind of thing, but you don't think of speakers in the same way. That makes total sense. You coach both Metropolitan Opera soloists as well as the president's own U.S. Marine Band. I mean, these are performers who operate at a near impossible standard of perfection. Why the decision to write a book to affect an even wider audience, would you say?
I love people. I love working with people, and I love seeing those aha moments when someone, maybe it's some kind of information that they already had deep inside, but they hear it in a particular way, they're able to apply it in a particular scenario, and then they're able to make a change that has lasting effects. And my time is so limited, and I can only work with so many people in a lifetime. I wanted to be able to put it into perpetuity and to help a wider range of people, and also to have a resource so that when I am working with a particular client or artist, I can point them to something that could help themselves. As a coach, I want to make myself dispensable. I want to help you get to the place where you can help yourself and you don't need me. And that was a big part about writing this book.
Just like a good parent, right? I mean, we want to basically teach those so they can walk on their own after we're gone. You don't want relying on us the whole time, although it's kind of hard for me to live with that as a parent. Although you co-wrote the book, The Presence Principle,
Yes.
embodying executive presence to lead with impact. Why the decision to team up with Dr. Chilcutt, and why was she a good fit?
I have the utmost respect for Dr. Chilcutt, and she has a beautiful way of taking complex information and distilling it into clear ways of thinking, speaking, and doing. Together, we make a really dynamic duo, and writing this book, it was like singing a duet. She had an idea, I had an idea, she had an idea, I had an idea. We were accountability partners, we were thought partners, and then we were able to look at it together and think how we could bring it to the world. So it was just an honor to work with Dr. Chilcutt, and it's always an honor to present with her as well.
A duet that is teaching authenticity sounds like music to people's ears. Executive
Absolutely.
presence is often described as that certain something. I mean, you either have it or you don't. Your book seeks to demystify this concept for many, really. Has the traditional definition of EP historically acted as a barrier for some people? And does your roadmap kind of redefine presence?
Absolutely. Think about that. You either have it or you don't. Would that be someone who, quote unquote, has it that's making that distinction? We're using the term executive presence, but the concept extends back millennia. It extends back to the beginning of humanity. Who are those leaders that can inspire action, that can motivate people? When you think about those qualities, you realize that it can't just be have it or have not, because there have been circumstances where people have had to gain it, have had to improve it. And we wanted to take the science that was behind that and provide that in a clearly digestible way for other people. I am a singer And I have to practice every day to keep my skills up. I look at some of the greatest athletes in the world, LeBron James, Venus Williams, Tiger Woods, and I see athletes over the course of a career have ups, have downs, and I see them get back into the gym, work with a coach, perfect their swing, perfect their free throw, and really, really work at taking what is good and getting better at it. And that's what this book is all about. And that's what I think executive presence is all about. When it's connected to authenticity, it's something that you can do and you can gain strength from by coming to it again and by improving it.
We have to keep at it. We have to keep improving. I know for myself, if I take a month off, I say my audience notices. If I take 3 days off, I sometimes notice. And so, I mean,
Exactly.
that's really how it is. The book is structured around a three-part framework: inform, equip, and empower. Was it important for you to move beyond just informing the reader about leadership theory to actually equipping them, empowering them with the tools that they can actually apply?
Exactly. This book is slim, but it is chock full of great activities that you can do. If you think about the time that it would take to do the activities, you realize that this is a workbook in a way that gives you resources that you can use, that you can mine, that you can go back to time and time again. And that is the empowering part. No, executive presence doesn't live over here. No, it doesn't reside in some coach. It resides in you. And it's helpful to have somebody to help you bring it out and to do the mining. And you can also do that for yourself. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes persistence. But what I always say about myself is I am a good investment. When I'm tired, when I'm feeling like I don't want to do the work, I remember every time I've done the work, it's paid off. And that is what I think a reader will take away from looking at that equip and empower section, that it's worth doing the work. And with that bit of self reflection and that bit of growth, they'll see exponential returns.
So this is a great book to throw in your briefcase, have it as a resource, reach into it. You're going to pick up something every time you read it. Let's face it, in the media, the hot topic is AI. Leadership challenges like virtual environments and the impact of AI, where leaders today are seen through screens like we are right now, or digital avatars even. Do you address how a leader can still maintain a human and authentic presence without being physically in the room?
Absolutely. There's a chapter on emotional intelligence that inquires, that makes inquiry around how you feel and how you want others to feel. It helps you to process your emotion and regulate the body so that you can respond with a state of calm instead of a state of agitation. That is something that AI can't do for you. As human beings, we are designed to get activated, and that is perfectly natural. It's actually healthy to feel anxiety, to feel a little bit of depression, to feel excitement, anger, frustration, happiness, joy. That means that your circuitry, if you will, from a neurosomatic standpoint, is working very well. And in order to be an expert, and in order to continually exhibit executive presence in high stakes, impromptu and high pressure situations, you've got to understand your own technology and how you can shift it to remain regulated in those situations. And that comes from experience, that comes from expertise, and that comes from information that is not artificial, that is absolutely real.
Very authentic. I mean, as I've gotten older, I've learned to embrace some of those emotions you just talked about. They serve a purpose. I try to push them away. I try to say, I don't want to feel like that. But you know what? That's who I am, and it makes me what really gets out there and people resonate with. This really is for any high potential professional. I mean, the book is described as being for everyone, from business students to sales professionals.
Yeah.
What has been some of the feedback?
The feedback has been incredible. We teach a course that is a 3 day course, an 18-hour course. And our clients have always been asking, what's next? And so they've been responding that this has been helpful for them when they go back into that situation where the rubber meets the road, where they are stress testing these ideas and they're able to refresh and reframe and then go at it again.
Excellent. Lastly, Carl, you are an international opera performer, a published scholar, certified neurosomatic educator, and a Lego facilitator that has coached clients from Fortune 200 executives all the way to international soloists.
Yeah,
Has this been rewarding work for you?
absolutely. As a singer, a lot of what we do is ephemeral. We sing, the voice resonates and dissipates. As a teacher, sometimes that can feel the same as well. You're training artists or you're coaching clients and they go off into the world and they do the thing. This book has been testament to the work that we've been doing, and it allows us to see a consolidation of ideas, and that has been just ultimately fulfilling, and I will also say enriching. There are times when I have been going through this book myself and found something that I wrote and thought, oh, I needed to hear that today. And so that has been very rewarding. It's been very inspiring. And I think anybody who picks up the book will feel the same way.
I mean, I can tell that you love people. You love connecting with folks. I mean, I can see that. Like I said, within zero point 0.7 seconds, I could see that when I seen you on the screen prior before me even coming on. So that's a testament to you. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is the book link to find his book. Really, this is from the architect of the voice, who is proving that when we align our scientific understanding with our creative expression, we don't just speak, we resonate. Once again, that is the presence principle, embodying executive presence to lead with impact. This is Gary Atensa with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.